welcome to this special edition of Lifestyles focusing on the world of technology. I'm Rebecca Bowring in Beijing. Coming up in the programme, a new industrial revolution in 3D. We check out the technology that lets you print made-to-measure objects ranging from car parts to human organs. And Tencent's Weixin instant messaging app already has more than 300 million users. We look at plans to monetize and check out its biggest rivals. First, imagine you need a lamp for your lounge, a set of utensils for your kitchen, or a new case for your mobile phone. And you know just what you're looking for. What if you could get a unique object made to your exact specifications? What if cutting, moulding and assembling a product were now as easy as pressing the button on a printer? Well, with 3D printing, it is. Elite Robotics in the city of Xi'an recently launched China's first 3D photo booth. The process is rather like building a brick wall. A digital printer puts down successive layers of a material to make a three-dimensional solid object. As you can see, a wide variety of unique designs are possible, even a CNC World logo. Let's hear from one of the engineers telling us more about how it works.
这是我的头像。 那么呢，做这样的一个3D 头像呢，大概分3步。第一步呢是扫描，对你进行这个全身的或者是半身的这个扫描。那么第2步呢是进行建模和修补。第3步呢是打印。打印这个头像呢，大概用了这个5个小时，看像不像我呢？
So, is this the future of manufacturing here in China? And will we all one day have a 3D printer at home? What could we use it to make? We decided to see for ourselves. This full body scan takes a couple of minutes. It's the first one I've ever endured, and I'm not supposed to move. Once upon a time, you'd take your camera film to a shop to get the photos developed. Now you can print your own creations in 3 dimensions. Beijing Suntop takes groundbreaking techniques from manufacturing and makes them accessible to the public. Okay, so I've just been scanned in 360 with what looks like a giant flashing iron, and now, as you can see, my body has appeared on the screen. Last year, Beijing Suntop launched their website, 3drp.cn. It's a platform that allows users to upload their own 3D designs and sell them to others.
包括您就是现在看到的我们现在所在做的这个3D 打印体验馆，包括以及我们3D 打印体验馆所提供的3D 照相，也都是为了就是说让也都是就是说和百姓生活比较紧密相连的，也是为了让他能通过这个体验馆来零距离的接触这种高科技。
Much like this one, Stratasys is the leading maker of fused deposition modelling printers, an unsexy name for a machine that uses heat and plastic or wax, laying down layer upon layer and bonding them together to turn a computer-generated drawing into a physical object. Systems cost about $15,000 US. It's a relatively cheap form of 3D printing, and the end product is affordable, ideal for prototyping. The process can put out components with complex inner structures that work as well as machine-made parts. And 3D printing offers a shorter production cycle, higher quality and less energy waste. This shift to digitized manufacturing is transforming the way goods are made. China is the world's largest manufacturer, with the US coming in second place. And some analysts have warned that China is in danger of losing its crown because of 3D printing, a technology that's relatively new here, whereas it's well established in the West. It's for that reason that the Chinese government has pledged to invest more money in research and development of homegrown 3D printing technology to boost its manufacturing sector. Chinese researchers first ventured into the field in the late 1990s, more than a decade later than their American counterparts. At the moment, China has less than 9% of the world's 3D printers, whereas the US has closer to 40%. China might not have been an early pioneer in this field, but it certainly isn't complacent. The Asian Manufacturing Association joined with leading Chinese sci-tech universities and enterprises to form a new alliance dedicated to the domestic development of 3D printing.
目前我们准备在国内工业城市要建10个3D 打印技术的创新中心，要促进一些传统制造业更进一步的了解3D 打印技术，同时促进3D 打印技术与过去我们传统的这个制造业企业进行结合，促进产业化的进程。我们认为是未来在3D 打印技术应用里面也是市场最大，这个发展前景最广、难度最大的就是工业级里面的广泛应用。
Global industry output from 3D printing is an estimated $150 billion per year. In China, though, it's worth around 30 billion RMB, or just less than $5 billion. But Mr. Luo says the technology has huge momentum behind it.
我们认为，从2013年今年，估计从3亿人民币能够增加到10亿人民币，在未来每年我们估计能够保持50%以上的或者更高的速度增长。因为现在更多的制造业企业对于3D 打印技术的认识已经上了一个新的台阶，特别是我们政府的主管部门，我们工信部、科技部和国务院其他部门也引起了高度的重视，会出台一些相关的政策来扶持这个产业的发展。所以我们认为现在这个产业会进入一个加速的发展期。
And the industry can expand in almost any direction.
Recognise this little guy? He's Woody from Toy Story. But of course 3D printing is about much more than toys and figurines. It has the potential to revolutionise established industries like the automotive sector, making parts for cars or even for aeroplanes. And of course healthcare with custom-made prosthetic limbs or maybe even organs.
And it doesn't stop there. 3D printing is fast becoming indispensable to the world of medicine. We may soon be able to print custom-fit organs using embryonic human stem cells to build tissue. And we're already using the technology to make new bones.
现在屏幕上的这个模型是前段时间西安一家医院提供给我们的一个患者的脊柱骨，然后我们通过这个模型做出了一个微缩的脊柱模型，然后医生就可以通过这个模型很好的找到手术的一些就是分析它的病情，然后找到一个合理的正确的手术方案。
From vertebrae to chocolate to musical instruments, 3D printing seems to have endless applications. It could soon be shaping all of our lives, supplying exactly what we need when we need it.
And just to let you know that Beijing's Suntop, featured in that report, plan to set up at least 10 stores in major cities such as Shanghai and Guangzhou within 2 years. And this is only the beginning of a rapid expansion of 3D printing facilities in China aimed at end users. You're watching Tech Talk on CNC World. Stay with us. Coming up later in the show, Gastronomy on the Go. We'll take a look at the web-based delivery firms serving up food to hungry Beijingers at home. But first, whenever you see a Chinese commuter instant messaging on the subway, the chances are they're using Weixin or WeChat as it's known in English. The app, created by China's largest internet company, Tencent, has attracted over 300 million users in under 2 years. All you need is a smartphone and a web connection, and you can chat for free via voice, text and video. Weixin means micro-message, but Tencent's ambitions for the app are anything but mini. Just months after its launch, it started international expansion. It's now available in over 100 countries in 15 languages. Let's take a closer look at the app with technology journalist and blogger Paul Bischoff, who joins me in the studio. Hello to you, Paul.
Hello.
So, Paul, can you tell us why so many people are addicted to these chat apps like Weixin?
Well, I think when things like Weixin first started coming out, the answer was simple. You could use your data plan instead of the text messages on your normal plan to talk to people overseas in different states, even the people next to you. It's almost free through your data plan. It doesn't use up the text messages. Since then, it's become something else. It's become a social network, a social gaming platform, social everything.
A social phenomenon, in fact. So let's take a listen now to some users in Shanghai telling us about their experiences with Weixin.
I use it every day. I send at least 50 messages per day. I starting using it because my girlfriend starting using it, and yes, to hold in contact with my friends.
It's convenient. You can send photos, you can send voice messages, and you can send your locations.
You know, you got internet, Wi-Fi, and you can like talk to them free.
If it's the Mid-Autumn Fest of China, you receive a lot of such kind of messages, and it's a little bit annoying because if you apply in a group chat, so everyone in the group can receive it. So it's like you receive 20 messages in a minute that you don't want to read at all. So sometimes it bothers me, but most of the times it makes me get closer to my friends.
WeChat's really cool. It's like once you share your phone, you can like find a lot like people near you, and you can like chat to them. Even they are like strangers, you can still chat to them. And the annoying thing is like other people can share their phones and they can find you as well. And when like you're not in the mood of like talking to strangers, they just keep like messaging you and ask you like random questions.
So those were users in Shanghai talking about Weixin, giving us some feedback. Now, Paul, Weixin, of course, is not the only app of its kind on the market. It's up against WhatsApp, which is a big one from the West, also Viber, also Line from Japan, KakaoTalk from South Korea. There are many of them. How does it stack up in comparison with its rivals?
Well, it has a lot of things it can learn, and its rivals have some things they can learn from it. Weixin is always picking up new things. They just recently installed sort of a walkie-talkie feature, but unlike Viber, it still can't make seamless phone calls. It doesn't have a social gaming platform yet, like KakaoTalk and Line. WhatsApp does a slightly better job of presenting itself, whereas Weixin, I think, looks sort of childish in some ways.
And the location features, how are those?
Right. Weixin does have a location services, whereas some of the others don't. Basically, you can text somebody where you are right at that moment. The phone will use your GPS to figure out where you are, and then the other person can see that.
Of course, voice messaging is really big on Weixin, and you also mentioned Moments, which is this integrated social network. And some people say that Facebook are actually now trying to take a leaf out of Weixin's book.
Well, some people say Facebook is copying Weixin by using things like the audio messaging app. Feature on Weixin, and others say that Weixin is copying Facebook with Moments. Moments is basically sort of like Facebook's timeline. It's a very bare bones version of Facebook's timeline, but it looks very similar. So I think they're really pushing into a social networking market, and a lot of people do use Weixin for social networking. It's even taken a bite out of things like Sina Weibo's market share.
Talking about taking a bite out of the market, you mentioned mobile gaming earlier, which is not something that it's so far really invested in. But is that a way we're going to see monetization for Tencent? Because at the moment they're not really making any money out of Weixin, are they?
No, Tencent's not making any money, but a lot of experts think it's only a matter of time before you start seeing ads on Weixin. Ads are one way to do it, but I don't think you're going to start seeing very intrusive ads. Nobody wants to see a banner ad in the middle of the chat with their best friend. But you could start seeing ads in other places. Social gaming has been hugely successful for KakaoTalk and Line. They both, developers of the games can pay Line or KakaoTalk to put their games up for free, or they can sell their games through those for just like 99 cents or something to buy the games, and then they can play with their friends.
And e-commerce might be another way of making money?
E-commerce is another way. I think you'll start to see more businesses get on Weixin. There's even talks of scanning QR codes to buy things through Weixin. There's a huge market for vendors on Taobao to start getting on there and selling their products.
And we know it's absolutely everywhere in China. Where else in the world is it taking off? Which other countries?
Well, it's definitely making a push for Southeast Asia and the Middle East. Even though it has an English version that's very popular, it's not really targeting the US or Europe. I think the competitors there are too strong for right now to overtake it. But in India, you have Nimbuzz. In Vietnam, you have Zalo. But I think Weixin sees those and says, we can beat them. We can monopolize that market. Another place they're very popular, but Weixin doesn't seem to really be pushing for, is South America.
Thank you very much, Paul Bischoff, for all of that. Paul Bischoff, technology expert there. Now, China has a justifiably proud culinary heritage, but here in the capital you can get your teeth into just about any kind of food imaginable. As salaries go up, so too do the expectations of connected Beijingers with disposable income to spend on dining. And that's where companies like Jinshisong come in. 3 entrepreneurs have harnessed the power of the web to offer a fast, efficient, premium delivery service with a high-tech edge. Let's show you how the website works.
Jinshesong.com's homepage is available in both English and Mandarin. In contrast to many information-heavy Chinese websites, it favours a pared-back browsing experience. Start by giving your rough location so the service can calculate an estimated delivery time. Then click through to a selection of more than 150 restaurants, categorised by area and cuisine. Scroll and select your dishes. You can even choose meals from different eateries. Once the order tops 68 RMB, around $11, you qualify for delivery. The fee is about $2.50 for a short journey. Enter your address and payment details. At the moment, you pay on delivery, but online transactions are coming soon.
So all that's left for me to do now is click here on checkout, and then in under an hour my food will be delivered directly to my door. On the surface it's a very simple, intuitive interface, but in fact under the hood there's some really high-tech stuff going on.
In English, Jinshesong translates as exquisite food delivery. With the firm getting up to 240 orders on a busy night, the heat is on to provide a speedy service with no room for glitches. Jinshesong's up against a raft of other delivery services like Sherpa and KK Rabbit. Its developers say they use tech to give them the edge.
All of our drivers actually have Android phones. So for all of the orders that we receive, all of the orders that are dispatched show up on their Android app. It's basically an app that's installed on Android. So for every single order that they receive, they can see the customer's name, their address, and a map from Baidu of where the customer's house is.
The bespoke system also lets these operators track the progress of deliveries. The location of every driver is plotted on the map, which means they can be deployed more efficiently. The delivery men also use GPS to help them find their way through the maze of Beijing streets, saving precious minutes.
很多人可能现在因为这个社会步伐比较快，很多人没有太多的时间或者在餐厅去等餐，很多的希望寄托于我们能够准时快速的能够送到他自己想要的新鲜的一些食品。
After less than a year and a half in business, Jinshesong employs 55 people and is seeing 10 to 15% growth every month. The majority of users opt for mobile, browsing via an iPhone application. Jinshesong plans to launch an Android version shortly. The team's also working on a social dining platform. The startup acts as a middleman between the restaurant industry and the evolving needs of customers.
Restaurants in particular are a little slower to take on new forms of technology. New forms of technology are a little expensive and restaurant margins can be low. So in China right now we still do fax and telephone.
Also in the pipeline, a tablet app for restaurants to process orders. New York-style pizza joint Crow's Nest often tops the list of Jinshesong's most popular restaurants. On a busy weekend evening, up to a quarter of its total business can come via the website. The partnership has saved Crow's Nest the cost of setting up its own delivery service. The staff here work closely with Jinshesong to keep diners informed in real time.
那个菜单就是说有一些改版，然后出现一些新的东西，然后我们那些新的菜品，然后我们会以邮件或者说以那个跟他发一些东西，把我们的菜单，然后给一本给那个警示送，然后他把我们所有的东西都放到网上去，可以让客户参考。
The pizza's ready to be boxed up and delivered without delay to a hungry customer. Meals on wheels for the connected generation. Jinshesong's looking to expand to more Beijing districts, then take its business model to other cities across China.
Let's take a look now at some of the global tech news of the past week.
Apple may lose its iPhone trademark in Brazil. A court reportedly recognized the name had been registered by a local company 7 years earlier. Electronics firm Gradiente didn't put out its own Android iPhone until last December, but says it secured the legal rights through 2018. Brazil is one of the world's fastest growing smartphone markets, one Apple isn't keen to lose ground in. The local patent and trademark office will rule sometime soon. Connect with respect, that's the slogan of the European Union's Safer Internet Day held on February the 5th. Google marked the event by redesigning its Good to Know website, offering tips on how to stay safe online.
Microsoft launched a Teen Challenge page aimed at improving young people's understanding of how to surf securely. Dell will become a private company in a $24.4 billion deal. Founder Michael Dell is keen to continue restructuring away from the glare of Wall Street. Once the world's biggest PC maker, Dell's profits have slumped since smartphones and tablet sales eroded demand for home computers. This is the biggest leveraged buyout since the financial crisis. Amazon says it will launch a virtual currency in May. Amazon Coins will allow users to buy apps, in-app items and games on Kindle Fire through its App Store. The e-retailer plans to give away millions of dollars worth of coins to customers. The move comes as Amazon seeks to offer developers more ways of monetizing.
Now, while Google's Project Glass is to release its pioneering augmented reality head-mounted display in a smartphone-like format, a group of scientists from Belgium have already gone a step further. They recently launched a similar project, but instead of using the same prototype as Project Glass, they displayed information on a pair of LCD contact lenses. Let's take a look.
Jelly de Smet is working on a project with Inter-University Microelectronics Center. Explain how it is functioned.
So the basic idea would be to integrate a display onto the lens, which allows us to receive additional information about our surroundings, like for instance information about shops you are looking at, or monuments you are looking at, or even for instance having turn-by-turn directions if you don't know where to go, and this lens could have an additional layer on top of your normal view, which would then show you all this information and all these directions.
LED-based contact lens displays are limited to a few small pixels, while IMEC's LCD-based technology permits the use of the entire display surface. However, this technology requires a new kind of polymer rather than traditional hard screen.
This lens has a cavity inside which is filled with liquid crystal, but the big challenge was that here the cell needed to be spherically, which is different from the normal displays which just are flat and hard. Here we needed to use flexible polymers which we molded into a spherical shape, which could then be embedded in a contact lens. So what happens is that we supply energy to certain parts of this liquid crystal, and then they realign, they switch their position, and this makes that the light going through the lens is being absorbed more or less. So what is happening is that indeed some areas absorb more light and less light, and this creates this display effect.
And Jelly said the technology is all for the needs of this fast-paced world.
I think it also allows us to, it supports our way we are going to lives right now. So we are highly connected now, so we want to have information as much as possible. So as soon as we start looking at things, we want to have information about this. And of course, when it's directly projected onto your normal view, this is a very high integration between the human body and the internet itself. So it would kind of serve as the gateway to the internet, as being a place of information.
Let's close the show this week in honour of Chinese New Year. This time around, we're entering the Year of the Snake.
The retro video game Snake was actually first published in the Year of the Dragon, 1976. The concept first hit the public as an arcade game called Blockade. Snake games were published using many names and variants on consoles like the Atari, PC, Flash, and mobile phones. The premise is simple. You control a line of dots as it moves around the screen in search of food. The more you eat, the longer your snake gets. Avoid the walls and yourself. Simple as that. No pausing, no saving, no mercy. Certain death is the only possible outcome, yet the game lives on for the next generation of snakes in the Zodiac.
That's just about it from us. Do go to our website cncworld.tv for more information. We'll see you again next time.